Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. Modern day life is absolutely crazy. Whether you're out in the street doing your shopping, or whether you're at the workplace trying to get the day's work done so that you can go home and relax, life just seems to be constantly frantic. I've struggled this week to get a video out, but no excuses. I thought I'd get one out tonight just to give you a couple of points of things that I've been doing during the week and to give you a heads up on what potentially might be coming over the near future. So let's find out. First thing I wanted to talk about today very quickly is free food. In this case it's hazelnuts. I've already used quite a few of these. There's almost £2 here in hazelnuts, so all I'm doing is every few days I'm just breaking open the shells and taking out the nuts from inside. It's fairly simple, you don't need anything special. I'm just using a pair of grips. You end up with the nuts. I just collect those up, and then when I've got a fairly decent pile, I just pop them into the oven on a baking tray, leave them in there for about 10 to 15 minutes, depends on the oven, at about 150 degrees, and that just roasts them off. Some people have a bit of an issue with the nuts themselves, because when you break them out of the shells, they're still covered in a protective coating. They're not white as they should be. They've got this yellowy grey protective skin on them. If you bake them in the oven and then when they're still hot, put them onto some kitchen paper, put another layer of kitchen paper on top and just rub them in between the sheets, you should find that this protective skin peels away. It can be a little bit bitter if you leave it on. Well, for sure it is a little bit bitter if you leave it on, but that's one quick way to get rid of it while they're still hot out of the oven. Just rub them between some paper sheets and it should pop off. Whilst on the subject of free food still, clearly not the banana because this is the UK. I think I mentioned it in a previous video. A family member was away on holiday. I was taking care of the ducks and the chickens, and in the garden there's a pear tree, an apple tree, a couple of cherry trees. I must have collected several kilos of apples and pears, and I've gradually been wading my way through these. I like both apples and pears as they are, just peel the skins off, and I'll quite happily chomp those as a snack at night. I did toy with the idea of making either some pear, they call it pear butter, it's a kind of a jam I guess, and I even toyed with the idea, if there'd been enough, to try and make some pear juice or pear cider. Perhaps next year, if they disappear off on holiday, I might just do that. But I thought I'd share that with you tonight as part of this video. Some free food, the apples and pears from a family member's garden. These actually, the hazelnuts, believe it or not, came from a bush in the middle of a steelworks. I work at a local steelworks, and I don't know why there's a hazelnut. I guess it was a small bush at one point, but it's now more of a tree than a bush, and it's chucking out thousands and thousands and thousands of these. So a friend at work collected those up for me and passed them on. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. Free food, have a look, you'll be surprised where you can find it. The next thing I wanted to talk about related to food was homegrown vegetables. You'll have seen in previous videos I planted out a range of different vegetables this year, had a lot of success with potatoes, and on the subject of potatoes, you might remember in a previous video I showed you some potato berries. Well, I continued replanting potatoes all the way through this year, and I went out to look at one of the potatoes in pots in the garden and came across this very, very unusual, or weird if you like, potato plant. It's got potato berries growing on it, but they seem to be fused to the stalk of the foliage, and this one in this video clip seems to be actually sprouting as if it had been picked off the potato plant, put in the ground and planted to grow as a seed tuber. Really, really weird looking. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. I might end up trying to bury that stalk of foliage in a pot and just see what happens. But certainly this next planting season is going to be a little bit interesting on potatoes, because I will be planting out potato seeds, and we'll see what happens with this weird looking potato stalk. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the subject of land, and you might remember a video I put out a couple of weeks ago about my searching for land. Well, the search continues. As I said in the previous video, land prices here in the UK are shockingly expensive, and all, or the majority, of land sales come with some kind of restrictions as to what you can or can't do with that piece of land. I've not given up. I've been looking at this for an awful long time now, and I just refuse to go away empty-handed. And I've been to a couple of auctions where the prices were just out of my price range. And the good news, I guess, is that there might be a glimmer of light on the horizon. I'm going to look at a piece of land this weekend, and if all goes well, you never know, I might actually end up buying it. So that's something to look forward to in future videos, and I'd be interested for your take on that, because if I do end up getting this piece of land, I thought about making a series of videos about setting up a homestead on a piece of land in the UK. So if that's interest to you, then do put something in the comments section and let me know what particular aspects would be of interest to you. But at the minute it is a bit of a dream, but there is a bit of light potentially at the end of the tunnel, so watch this space. Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of use to you. If you did like the video, then please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Just feel free to leave them in the comment section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.